Hallo Leute und willkommen zurück zu Genshin Impact. Wir sollen uns mit Navia treffen. Im letzten Part ist ja eine kleine Eskalation passiert. Navia wurde versucht. Heieiei, was geht denn hier ab? Es geht tief runter. Heieiei. Ja, also es wird angenommen, dass versucht wird, auf Navia einen Anschlag zu verüben, weil sie, ja wie wir wissen, was nicht so ganz Tolles gemacht hat. Sie hat den Tatui wahrscheinlich ordentlich in die Suppe gespuckt. Alter, aber warum es hier so einen Untergrund gibt. Hier sind sogar Katzen. Da ist sogar ein Teleporter. Gehe ich auch erstmal hin. Nein. Nicht mit Melos. Er ist Melos. Wo ist denn der Melos? Scheint da zu sein. Da sie. Weiß ich nicht, wer oder was sie ist. Rechtsberaterin.
This is your base?
Your accommodations have been arranged. Under the present circumstances, I can confidently say it's the best we have.
Dankeschön.
Well, our funds have been a little tight. After all, we don't allow illegal or unethical profiteering. In fact, our funds often come from citizenry who support us. Seems like it's tough times for everyone. But if you have the support of the people, To be honest, our financial situation was a lot better back when my father was in charge a few years ago. I'm afraid I'm not quite his... Your father? He was the previous boss's
Demoiselle, if you'll allow me to explain.
No. I'll explain it myself. I suppose I couldn't run from this topic forever. And as part, my father's name is Callus. Yes, the same one they call Callus the Unfaithful in the streets. 3 years ago, he was accused of murdering his own friend. But he chose a duel to defend his honor, instead of standing trial. Oh no! But I do not believe my father was a murderer. I'm sure he was set up. At the time, I believed that if he only stood trial and was duly investigated, something amiss would crop up and prove his innocence. But strangely, he not only requested the duel himself, that even after being seriously injured, to the point where he could be deemed as having lost the duel, he refused to surrender. Determined. 3 years later, I still don't understand why he did that. How could he protect his honor if he's dead? If anything, he gave up his chance to defend himself.
Da ist in der Tat etwas faul dran. Hast du irgendwelche Anhaltspunkte?
The closest piece of info I have is that my father had been investigating the serial disappearances case at the time of his death. Ah, so that's why you're so determined to get to the bottom of that case. That's right. I've also tried to investigate the murder my father was implicated in. But I haven't found a single new clue in my countless reviews of the... However, I believe that if the murder case is related to those behind the disappearances, they must know something. I must know what really happened. Was my father coerced? Framed? Even if he really did kill his friend, I must get to the truth. If only he'd been more open with me when he was still alive. He even hid the fact that my mother died due to complications when giving birth. And now, here I am investigating his death. You really are a handful, aren't you, Papa?
Es geht die Familie. Die Sehnsucht nach der Wahrheit. Was das angeht, sind wir uns sehr ähnlich.
Demoiselle, please, if there is anything I can do, anything at all.
I also will never believe that Master Callus murdered anyone. There are none whom I respect more than the two. Master Callus did so much good in life, yet All it took was one murder case for him to be dubbed. Even our support has decreased greatly due to that incident, hence our strained finances at present.
Wait! If Callus was such a good man, wouldn't people at least be a little suspicious?
No. Perhaps people just revel in that kind of drama. It's not something exclusive to people from Fontaine, really. People love watching the evil turn over a new leaf. But they also enjoy watching good people fall into an abyss from one slip.
How could... Never mind. If Callus was really falsely accused, we have to find the truth.
There is one other thing. Master Callus's opponent in the duel.
Oh! Her? Well, then... Isn't that as good as saying that she was the one who killed him?
Kein Wunder, dass Navia Chlorint gegenüber ein solches Verhältnis an den Tag legt.
Yeah, that's not the sort of thing that you can
Miss Clorand has always placed great emphasis on the honorable nature of the duel. If her opponent doesn't yield, she knew Master Callus beforehand and greatly respected him, but seeing how he was resolute, there was only ever one.
It's not that I don't understand her at all. But I
Don't worry, Navia. Paimon knows how you feel.
Afterward, Miss Clorand told us that at the start of the duel, Master Callus requested that she ensure Demoiselle Navia's safety.
Das erklärt einiges. Es war seine Absicht, bei diesem Duell zu sterben.
Yes, that is our understanding.
Oh, Papa. What madness drove you to ask the person who killed you to take care of me? All right. Anyway, that's the information I wanted to share with you. Even if it did sound like I was just complaining towards the end.
Mach dir darum mal keinen Kopf. Ich kann sehen, wie wichtig diese Angelegenheit für dich ist.
Thanks. You two should go and rest. This was quite a day after all.
Yeah! Paimon's beat.
Please, relax and get some sleep. We will ensure you rest soundly.
Danke für die Info. Unter den wachsamen Augen der Spion.
Paimon slept so well, huh? Navia?
I sent them back to Poisson. It's Spina de Rosula's place of origin, and where we have our headquarters. There's not much for...
Paimon gets the feeling that you're just trying to get them off your back. But never mind that. When did you get back?
No, I just returned after going out for a while. I did some investigating yet.
Wait, so you didn't sleep?
How could I after having such
Guess Paimon wasn't speaking for...
Unfortunately, this name seems to have been wiped from existence. I suspect that those behind this have already taken steps to hinder an investigation from this angle. But...
Does that...
No. There is one ray of hope. One place in Fontaine that they would find, and that is the archives kept by Chief Justice Neuvillette. A place where detailed files on all... If the Oceanette you met is one of the young women who went missing recently, we should be able to find some related information there.
So Neuvillette maintains an archive of case files? In that case, let's go talk to him, shall we? Aren't you coming along?
No, it's nothing. Let's go see...
Gut, dann treffen wir uns mit Neuvillette. Auch immer er ist. Ja.
The palais is right up ahead. Come on.
Wir gehen. Palast Mammonia.
Please state your business here. The Chief Justice is presently occupied with official...
This place does look pretty heavily guarded. Guess that...
Hey, don't you recognize us?
Huh? Who are you? Just to be clear, I don't...
See? They've got great discipline, too.
Yep. contempt.
If you're here just to crack jokes, I can point you towards the exit. Unlike some, we're busy.
No. What I meant to say is, shouldn't you remember us from a few...
Oh, yes, I remember. I read about it in the Steambird. You...
We're here today to report and archive some information on a follow-up case.
Huh. Is that even a thing?
Of course. Don't worry. We're here on official business.
All right then, I'll let you through. The chief...
Thanks so much.
Okay, wo gehen wir hin? Hier. Knöpfen. Oh nee.
Please come in.
Sorry to barge in, Monsieur Nervalet. We only like to...
It's all right. Please let me know how I may be of assistance.
So you're not mad at us?
We're looking for a man called Vache. He may have been an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. If we can...
Ah, I see. In that case, please wait here a moment while I browse through...
Who knew that Nervalet would be so easy to talk to?
Es vergeht wohl einige Zeit.
Unfortunately, I'm quite certain that no one by the name of Vache has been involved in any case, criminal or... There are no records of him either in the files or in my memory.
Da können wir wohl nichts machen. War jetzt alles umsonst?
Traveler, what if it was really just a dream?
Is that so? All right then. Thank you so much.
Ahem.
Was hat...
Miss Navia, I can understand how you feel. Your father, Callus, was a truly exceptional man.
And what are you trying to say? Monsieur, are you trying to console me? Extend your sympathy? No. You are not trying to do any of that. I can hear it in your voice. There's no emotion behind your words. You only said those things? It's just like last time. After my father took his place in the duelist ring, I pushed through the guards to talk to you. You even told me then that you thought there was something fishy with the case, yet you still allowed the duel to go ahead. In your eyes, the value of a human life is nothing compared to those cold laws you hold so dear. If you truly regret my father's death, then why didn't you call a stop to the duel? Why didn't you give me the power to stop him from throwing his life away? Why did you just let him die? Despised and hated by all. Everything was hanging on a thread at that moment. Just that there are still so many things I never got to tell him. If you really have no heart, then just look me in the eyes.
I'm sorry, Miss Navia.
You and my father are truly alike. You keep all kinds of things in your heart. It's not so much that you can't feel, but that you would never express anything. Oh well. In any case, everyone already knows full well the apathy of the Chief Justice. My apologies for taking my emotions out on you, Monsieur Chief Justice. Let's go, Traveler and Paimon.
Navia, are you okay?
I'm fine. Rain.
You're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building? And there shouldn't be any active trials?
Now that I think of it, on the day my father was convicted of murder, it was also raining.
Regen.
What is it? Did you think of something?
Der Fall deines Vaters. Hat da drinnen und da draußen stattgefunden.
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. Why? Do you think that thought has occurred to us before? We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that. but didn't find anything of value.
Damals fehlte euch aber eine entscheidende Information.
Wait. You don't mean...
Die Tatsache, dass sich Menschen in Wasser verwandeln können.
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water and then got washed away? Yeah! And if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if he explained what he...
I really think I found a true genius for a partner. You're completely right. All right, let's go to Poisson. With this new lead in mind, we'll get to the bottom of my father's case.
Yeah, we're gonna make progress for sure this time!
Do you want to go with me now? Or do you want to head over by yourself later?
Lass uns keine Zeit mehr verlieren.
Great. Let's go then.
Hier. Kommen wir denn nicht hin? Da haben wir auch einen Teleporter. Was ist hier? Also schade, an dem Ding kommen wir hier nicht dran. Aber egal. Das erste noch nicht. Das sieht hier gut aus. Kann man nicht viel gegen sagen.
Whoa! What a huge ship!
There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like a ship, it's actually Spina. My father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our taste in exterior design is the only thing we occasionally had in common. A gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
Ich glaube, ich verstehe langsam, warum es dir gefällt.
And Paimon thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula had a glorious cap. Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in the sewers. But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself...
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began, after all.
Na gut, dann sprechen wir wieder mit Mellus auf dem Schiff. Machen wir. Ja, wie das hier aussieht, gefällt mir auf jeden Fall. Allgemein ist Fontaine sehr schön, finde ich. Und ich finde es ganz angenehm, dass es nicht mehr so viele Höhlen gibt wie in Sumeru. Das war doch etwas übertrieben, fand ich. Ja, wir kommen hier am besten. Wow, hier gibt es eine Treppe. Und so. So, und dann müssten wir eigentlich fast da sein. Ich kürze das hier ein bisschen ab. So, und dann sind wir da.
Melus, we're back!
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important partners. You said before that you still had some business at the court. What brings you back to Poisson?
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You see, what if my father's case had something... You still remember, right, Melus? On that night, it was...
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's. Both were what you'd call impossible murders.
Könnte hinter all dem ein und dieselbe Person stecken.
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened before?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth at a glance. It was a kind of drink that could excite your mood.
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention that the primordial water could be used to produce something?
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water from the primordial sea. If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus, and if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia and anxiety, while lacking energy to do. As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse, and called for a complete ban of it.
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath, but no matter how much they threatened or bribed him, not only that, Boss became determined to find the mastermind behind the synth operation and put an end to the problem once and for all.
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. So he could never get anything out of the dealers, all of whom only recognizing that. My father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate personal relationships with them. Finally, he was able to get... The man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse. That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. He planned to meet up and but then we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a...
How did that happen? Aren't they on the same...
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither appeared. Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing left at the scene.
Könnte sie der Person gehören, die sie aufgelöst wurde?
Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some... But, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one extra person, we'll also need to reconsider why the 2 shots were fired.
Es ist nicht auszuschließen, dass die beiden einen Streit hatten. Aber es könnte nicht sich genauso eine dritte Person eingemischt haben.
You're right. We still don't know what happened. But my intuition tells me that we're on the right track to figuring it all out. I'm finally headed towards the truth.
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his past actions. I think this third person is probably the key to the full truth. On that note, however, even though this will not please you, demoiselle, as your and your father's butler, I must still offer a word of warning. Our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with, and Boss has already lost his life trying... Even though Spina di Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new time of peace, and we have been allowed to live out our lives. There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise and in line with Boss's wishes to step back.
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have told me that himself. Was I not the closest person to him? And yet, I was the one most kept in the dark. What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage to Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his epithet. And Spina, did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just... I've never accepted that, ever. Not since that day, and certainly I want to find out the real answer for everyone's sake. For the missing girls...
Sylvia!
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and more important...
So you do know something else, Maloose?
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth. But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, demoiselle, had been selected as the next...
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he had been diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctors told him that he had... and the serial disappearances case caused him great anxiety. 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict. But once he passed away, knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hands on some, but as long as you remain safe, he would not share the evidence with the public. If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew about synth.
Right, so nobody would be able to get up.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not tried to take to what...
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared.
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful was still far preferable than losing face in front of his daughter.
So he chose to die in silence, so that he could protect me.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, demoiselle. What Boss wanted to have, if Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find the answer for the sake, I'm sure he'd be extremely proud.
That fool. Couldn't he? No. He might have set up everything precisely because he never thought I'd be able to. Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now?
Wollte die Wahl lassen.
Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, if I had wanted, but thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case, he really didn't need to... Malus, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where synth is produced. Essentially, when he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specifics. But if you want to use it against the enemy...
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go storming in?
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous... There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. We also have no idea, but a single visit to their headquarters would be tantamount to a formal declaration of war. The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed, but also open ourselves up to...
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontaine Authority?
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Liddy's case. We have no idea just how thoroughly they may have been infiltrated.
That's true. Seems my father really... Things are different now. It should be a lot easier to prove the other side's guilt, now that we've connected synth...
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Malus.
I am the butler, after all. I live but to... I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've...
Thank you for all of that, Malus. Have you discovered anything new in the past few years?
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina di Rosula, or at least when I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the dark and observe the reaction. If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. If the vendors packed up and fled, however, then after several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, I've narrowed the suspect list down. The first is Florent, Spina di Rosula. Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means that he was someone who, thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plans and could thus... There's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of...
Uncle Marcel.
Was ist diese Konferere?
It's a guild in Poisson. Boss helped it to grow to its cut. In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds around with a lot of business connections.
So, they're like a sister organization of Spina di Rosula?
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against it, it's a bit difficult to imagine someone you...
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities...
I see. These are all to think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along. Among those
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience.
Of course.
You're too kind, my lady. And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would also mean clearing him. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. If it might help, you could also pay them a visit. I can make it.
Oh, thank you so much, Malus. You really are the best.
A new case awaits, my dear partner.
Du kannst auf mich zählen.
I hope we can work together to uncover the truth and end this case one.
Protokoll von Calles Fall. In einer regnerischen Nacht vor 3 Jahren hörten alle Anwesenden des Banketts 2 Schüsse von außerhalb des Anwesens. Als sie vor Ort des Geschehens ankamen, hielt Calles eine Waffe in der Hand und Jacques lag erschossen auf dem Boden. Die damaligen Ermittlungsergebnissen zufolge war eine Flucht für andere nach Begehung des Verbrechens unmöglich, weshalb Calles in diesem Fall als Mörder identifiziert wurde. Suche Jacques Familie. Ja Leute, ich würde sagen, wir beenden das erstmal wieder hier. Ich bedanke mich fürs Zuschauen und dann bis zum nächsten Mal.